This is 6.3, and in this lesson we're going to continue with the Pythagorean theorem, but this time instead of finding the hypotenuse, we're going to be finding a leg. So the good news is we get to stick with the same formula that we've been using, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, where c is still going to be the hypotenuse, and where a and b are still the legs, but this is what we're going to be solving for this time. Put a little asterisk there. We're going to be solving for one of the two legs, either A or B, throughout this lesson. All right, so we're just going to dive right into some examples here. So take a second to get this in your notes. This will be a pretty quick lesson. So first thing we want to do, just like we did before, is we want to label the hypotenuse. So look across from the right angle and label that with a C. And then the other two, we can label A and B, the other two sides. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to call X A and the 8.6 miles B. But again, it doesn't matter. We could have done it the other way around. Okay? And then we're going to use c squared equals a squared plus b squared, and we're going to substitute each of our things in. So instead of c, we're going to use 11.8 and make sure it gets squared. Instead of a, we're going to use x, and instead of b, we're going to use 8.6. All right, so same idea as what we've been doing before. What we did in the first lesson is we actually want to go through and square those numbers. So we want to do 11.8 squared. So I'm going to grab a calculator and do 11.8 squared, and that's going to be 139.24. We can't do anything with the x yet, so we'll leave it as x squared, and then we're going to actually do 8.6 squared. And that's going to give us 73.96. All right, so now our goal is to solve for x. We want to get x by itself. So we need to get rid of the plus 73.96. So we're going to subtract 73.96 from both sides. So it's a little different from what we were doing before when we were solving for the hypotenuse. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the calculator, and the good news is that stuff's already in there, so I just need to remember they were, oops, 139.24, 139.24 minus 73.96, and we get 65.28. And that's equal to x squared. Okay, and now we can take our final step, which is to take the square root of both sides to get x by itself. And x is going to be approximately, we're going to round to the nearest hundredth here, so I'm just going to go back to the calculator and take the square root of 65.28. Square root 65.28. And we're going to, like I said, do the nearest hundredth. So in our head, we're thinking, is it 8.07? Or does it need to go up to 8.08? And in this case, the third decimal is a 9. It's 5 or larger, so we're going to go up to 8.08. And in this case, we were doing miles, so 8.08 miles. And that's our final answer for that one. All right. Next problem here. This time we're not given a triangle, so we're going to have to create a triangle. And also we're going to leave our answer in simplest radical form. So we're going to go back and practice that just a little bit since it's been a couple lessons. So we have A and C given to us. So we just need to sketch a triangle here. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't really need to be to scale, but it's going to be a right triangle. Let's remember that our legs are A and B, and our hypotenuse is C. And then let's fill in what they gave us. So they gave us A is 7 kilometers, and they also gave us C is 16 kilometers. Okay, and we're looking for B, so we could call it X, or we could just leave it as B. It really doesn't matter, but since we've kind of been using X, I'll leave it like that, and I'll make my B a little bit better here. There we go. All right, so once again, Pythagorean theorem, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So 16 squared equals 7 squared plus x squared. Okay, I'm just using that same formula. I didn't write it down again, but c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And then we need to go do those. So 16 squared and 7 squared. You might not know what 16 squared is off the top of your head, so feel free to use a calculator for that one. 256. 7 squared, we should know that one. 7 times 7 is 49 plus x squared. Okay, now we need to get x squared by itself, so we need to get rid of the 49 that's attached to it. So we need to subtract 49 from both sides. And that's going to be, what would that be, 207? And then we're going to take the square root of both sides. So x is equal to the square root of 207. Okay, and we're going to see if we can simplify that at all. So we're going to try and see if 207 is divisible by anything. Okay, and if we don't know for sure, it's definitely not going to divide by 2 because it's not even, but maybe 3. Oh yeah, and 3 works. So 3 and 69 are two things that go into 207. So 3 and 69. And then we're going to keep going with our 69. Maybe we could try 3 again. And that's going to give us 23. So 3 and 23. And 23 is a prime number, so it's not going to go any further. Okay, so what we have now is 3 times 3 times 23. We're looking for a pair. We have a pair of 3's, which we can take out. So our final answer is 3 square root of 23 kilometers. All right, so I just wanted to do one where we're leaving our answer that way, just like I said, so we can get a little bit of extra practice there. But I think for the most part, you can just get used to rounding to the nearest hundredth. All right, and that's it for this lesson. So keep putting in time and effort and energy, and I think you're going to do really well on this test.